Hi, everyone. I came across some information on how to deal with stress and anxiety during the quarantine and wanted to share that with you. So I've put together this little slide presentation, and this information was taken from an article by Jasmine Chen, excuse me, and it was on a website called createcapsule.com. So, what is stress and what is anxiety? Stress is a biological and psychological response to an external threat. Current stress triggers that we have going on are the COVID-19 coronavirus, the people losing jobs and the stock market going down, limited supplies. Lots of people have been searching for toilet paper and hand sanitizer and paper towels, and took them days and days to find it. Just being cooped up in the home, and you've got your parents trying to work and your brothers and sisters trying to do schoolwork, and everybody's trying to have downtime as well, and just a lot going on in the same space, and that can be stressful. Usually stress will go away once the situation is resolved. But anxiety, it starts in our own minds, and sometimes it can be a rational good thing, like when we have anxiety about the virus, and we know that to try to limit our exposure to people who may have the virus, we need to stay home as much as we can. So that anxiety can cause us to go to the store, pick up lots of supplies that we need and lots of food so that we could stay at home for maybe a week or 2 weeks and not have to go to the grocery store every few days. That's an example of anxiety being beneficial. And then sometimes our anxiety can be irrational and unproductive. It can lead to ruminating thoughts where we just can't get something out of our minds and we keep going over and over it in our heads. And that can even lead to the point of being panicked. So what's so bad about stress? Well, stress has been linked to all kinds of health problems. They've been studying it for over 70 years. And in the short-term effects, we have the fight or flight response that kicks in, and our stress hormone adrenaline is released, and that causes our heart to beat faster. We start breathing faster. Our digestion is paused. Glucose or sugar is released and sent to our muscles, and that supplies us to have energy to kind of recuperate and react. But when cortisol kicks in, it also increases our appetite, and what it's meant to do is to restore that sugar, that energy that we're using. But these days we're not typically running from danger, so we don't necessarily need the cortisol to increase our appetite. So that can lead to problems such as weight gain. Also, chronic stress can lead to many other issues like colds and headaches, stomach ulcers, depression, diabetes, hair loss, heart disease, and the list goes on. What can we do to combat stress? Well, there's practical ways that we can deal with the physiological stress, just that physical sense of what we feel. One thing is we can take deep breaths, just kind of relax and breathe in slowly and count to 5, and then exhale slowly and count to 5. And if you do that for several minutes, it will help to lower your heart rate and your blood pressure, kind of balance things out. Exercise, of course, is a great way to deal with the physiological stress. Any kind of exercise, taking a walk, a run, push-ups, sit-ups. You can find YouTube videos for workouts. For instance, our Group Vermont YouTube channel, some of our staff have put workout videos on there. So there's lots of options for that. Third is laughter. Research has shown that laughter is really good for lowering stress and building up our immune system so we can fight off viruses. So just watch a funny video, find a TV show or movie that you like, and something that'll make you laugh, and that will help to deal with your stress. Next, one thing we can do is affirm our values. So reflecting on values lowers stress. So just taking some time to think about what's important to you, what motivates you, what your goals are, how you make decisions, those kind of things. Um, Understanding your values is crucial, not just for stress management, but also for motivation, goal setting, and decision making. So get grounded and more productive while you're in quarantine by thinking about all of your goals and what motivates you. Writing down 3 things you're grateful for, keeping like a gratitude journal, or you can just grab a piece of paper and jot it down. Those things have lasting positive effects. It helps lower your blood pressure as well and improve your immune system. And it can just lead to you, having a more positive outlook on things and being more helpful and caring toward others. The next thing you can do is progressive muscle relaxation, which is just exercise that involves clenching certain muscle groups one at a time and then slowly releasing them. Some of you may remember that Dr. Moon and I did some of this with you all in group last year. But I've got a YouTube link here for you to go through a guided muscle relaxation. And then there's also the images here that kind of show the person tensing up the different muscle groups. And this is even good if you're not necessarily upset or stressed about something, if you just have tight muscles from bad posture or whatever. Doing the progressive muscle relaxation can help, relax those tense muscles and make you feel better. What can you do to combat anxiety? Well, there is a practice called cognitive behavioral therapy. That's the most widely researched form of therapy. And this model basically is saying that your reality may not necessarily be reality or completely accurate, but it's your perception of what's going on. So it's how you see things from your point of view. And in your mind, that's your reality. So if you want to change your behavior or thoughts or feelings, they're all connected. So to change your thought, you got to change the feeling and change the behavior. For example, if you have a thought of, I can't do anything right, then that's going to lead to you feeling hopeless, which is going to in turn lead to a behavior of you just giving up, saying, what's the point? I can't do anything right anyway, so I'm not even going to try. Instead, you could try thinking that I could have done some things differently, and then take a look at it. It's going to lead to you being kind of more interested in other ways that you may do things, and it's going to encourage you to reflect on that and to grow and learn other ways of approaching something and different ways of dealing with your feelings. You could do structured problem solving, which is just breaking down a problem and deciding on a course of action. Instead of just constantly thinking of the same thing over and over again, you could try to define the problem, what you're really anxious about, who's involved, any possible solutions, and then choose an idea you think would be best and evaluate it. And then you can look at how much time and effort that's going to require. You can write a solution statement. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by something, then you might want to break it down into smaller steps. So maybe look at it, one thing you can do this month to reach your overall goal, or one thing you can do this week or today, or right at this moment. So if you feel overwhelmed when you get your packet of schoolwork in the mail, then you might look at it and say, well, I'm just going to do, 2 sheets a day. Or if you're really worried about it, you could count up how many worksheets there are. Say there's 20 worksheets, and there's this is supposed to cover 2 weeks of school, which would be 10 days. So 20 divided by 10, you're going to have 2 worksheets a day. So you can look at it that way. Just try to break things down into smaller goals. There's also a grounding exercise, which is something you can do when you're anxious and you can't even think straight to think about problem solving. You're starting to panic. If you follow this exercise, that will help you get grounded and be in the moment so that you can kind of slow down and process things more rationally. And this exercise just involves looking around the room, noticing 5 things that you see, 4 things that you can feel or touch, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste. And like I said, that just helps slow down your thought process so you can get away from the panicked feeling and start being able to focus on the here and now and what's going on. More longer term things you can do daily to ward off anxiety. You can buy probiotics and stay hydrated. Probiotics are just live bacteria and yeast that are good for you, especially your digestive system. They're often called good or helpful bacteria because they help keep your gut healthy. Serotonin is a chemical that transmits messages between nerve cells. It affects so many aspects of our well-being that it's commonly called the happy chemical because it impacts our mood, appetite, cognitive functioning. 90% of the body's serotonin is made in the digestive tract. So your gut is like a second brain. So it's really, really important to eat healthy, drink lots of water, and like I said, you could also purchase actual like probiotics, like a vitamin supplement type thing. Next, you want to keep your sleep schedule. Without a regular schedule for school, I know everybody's probably staying up late, sleeping in late. I'm guilty of that as well. But like stress, sleep disruption has been linked to a multitude of short-term and long-term health consequences. Short-term, it makes us more susceptible to stress, depression, and anxiety. It impairs our cognitive processes. It makes it harder for us to think through things. Could increase risky behavior. In the long term, it leads to heart disease, weight issues, diabetes, cancer. They've shown that those with insomnia are 10 times more likely to have depression and 17 times more likely to have clinical anxiety. So it's very helpful and important to keep in schedule. Shut off phones because the blue light on your phone is 40% brighter than sunlight, and it reduces the production of the sleep hormone melatonin. So you need that melatonin to kick in to help you fall asleep and stay asleep. So these are all ways that you can try to reduce stress and, hopefully better cope with stress when you do have it, cope with that anxiety. This is just some images to close it out. You could practice meditation or yoga, as these people are doing. Cognitive behavior therapy, like I said, your thoughts are going to lead to your behaviors and your emotion, and it's just this circle that goes round and round. So you got to think about the way you're viewing things and try to put a different spin on it. Having a healthy lifestyle, exercise, drinking water, eating right, getting good sleep, and then of course just individual ways of exercising down here will hopefully lead to all of us looking like this guy in the middle who just looks completely relaxed and carefree. So hopefully this information will help. If you do feel like you need somebody to talk to, Dr. Moon and I are available. So just send us an email or let your staff know when you're talking with them, and they can let us know. And we'd be glad to call you or set up a meeting through Zoom and just talk with you and see if we could help with anything you might be dealing with. So hang in there. Hopefully things will be back to normal soon, and we can be back at school. Never thought I'd hear a bunch of kids saying that, but I think a lot of people are missing school. So I definitely miss everybody, and I hope we are back to normal, at least by the fall. So take care, stay healthy.